For die-hard baseball fans, the 1980s promised a new decade of fresh faces and historic moments. Behind the scenes, Major League Baseball was nearing the end of its latest CBA with players. As in all cases involving money and bargaining chips, the pending discussions proved to be contentious. The current deal between owners and athletes began in May of 1980, though the Players Association voted in February of 1981 to set a strike date of May 29. At the heart of the latest matter was team owners looking to be compensated if any franchise lost a player to free agency. The Players Union balked at the notion that franchises should receive a set amount of money for any athlete. As described in the printed version of Ken Burns' 1994 baseball epic, players walked out. They were protesting an attempt by the owners to undercut free agency by demanding compensation in either cash or a comparable player for every experienced player who became a free agent. The owners offered exemption to all current players if they went back to work. Ray Grebe, the owner's negotiator, echoed Commissioner Bowie Kuhn's stance on the situation, one that was about to become an ordeal. Marvin Miller headed up the cause on behalf of the players. The season's first half was sprinkled with memorable highlights, including Charlie Lay's no-hitter early in May and Len Barker's perfecto 5 days later. However, a deal was not reached by the deadline date imposed by the National Labor Relations Board. In baseball's first work stoppage since 1972, the sport was shut down from June 12 until August 9. The parties actually reached an agreement on July 31st. The sides compromised that teams that lost a free agent could be compensated by drawing from a pool of players left unprotected from all Major League franchises, not just the signing club. Free agency was restricted to players who had at least 6 seasons of service in Major League Baseball. The annual All-Star contest, moved up almost 1 full month and played on a Sunday, served as baseball's first game back. Despite the news that America's pastime and the game's star power had returned, attendance and television ratings slipped considerably over the next 2 months. A total of 713 games were canceled, which was over 1/3 of the scheduled season, and more than $140 million in revenue lost. Once the dispute ended, there were 57 days remaining in the season's second half. The realization set in that the playoffs were going to be impacted, and getting through them wouldn't be without some major shakeups. Owners looked to save face, keep fans' interest, and create a fair format. Though scheduled dates were comparable to previous campaigns, it was the path to get to the postseason that still has fans and historians alike scratching their heads. Major League Baseball decided that the season would begin anew following the work stoppage, with every team's record starting at 0-0. Teams that finished the first half of the season, which ended prior to the strike, would make a playoff round to face the division winner of the upcoming second half. These newly implemented rules allowed the Yankees, who had a losing record during the second half, to qualify for the postseason, due to their first half record of 34-22. And the Cardinals and Reds, the latter of which posted the best record in baseball for the full season, to totally miss it. Both teams finished second place in each of the season's halves. After the tournament, which featured an extra round of games, ended, it was the Los Angeles Dodgers who picked up their 5th World Series title in franchise history. The season's second half did have its fair share of feel-good stories and moments, such as Nolan Ryan's then record-setting 5th no-hitter in September, Carl Yastrzemski's 3,000th career game, and winning records from franchises like Montreal and Oakland, who were not expected to perform so well. But what could have been if play was not interrupted? Would Mike Schmidt have hit 50 home runs? How high might have Tom Seaver's winning percentage gone? Could Tim Raines have eclipsed 100 stolen bases? Might Rich Gedman, Eddie Murray, and Jack Morris have put up a greater challenge for an individual award? Mike did pick up his 2nd consecutive MVP, and other award winners carved their names in the history books. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn left his post in 1985, though owners felt betrayed by his actions in '81, and he worked the rest of his tenure under constant criticism. His legal counsel, Ray Grebe, was dubbed the man who killed baseball and left the sport the following year. Marvin Miller continued as union rep until 1983. Baseball's next major work stoppage occurred in 1994, and although the strike of 1981 was not linked to the doom and bad press the former saw, it did create a sense of awareness on the players' part. Thankfully, the remainder of the 1980s showcased many new faces and moments that shed a positive light on the game. You know, the way it's supposed to.